Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. For this episode, we're going to look at the X-Wing of Gundam. Is that accurate? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Well, we're going to be looking at the RGM 79 high-grade model kit, just in terms of it being kind of an old but still good kit, but also because it's the GM. Any changes they need to make when they make a new one? But before we get started, if you haven't, please subscribe, and if you think this is a cool video, give it a like. And check the links in the description for ways you can support the channel. Even check the link for Discord. Our Discord's a lot of fun. Glad to see you there. But let's get started. All right, well, here we go. RGM 79. This kit came out in 2001. Everything about it, I'd say, in general, is cool. Just when it comes to building a model kit in 2023 from 2001, everything about it is actually pretty cool. The only complaint I think I'd have when it comes to it, again, as a Gunpla model kit, is the fact that the beam sabers, just that one, where the beam blade is, it's just one big solid mint piece. And so you have to paint that. At first I was gonna just paint that, but then I decided to go another route. Someone had mentioned a cool, obvious mod in a chat before was taking the handle, making a drill hole, and then plugging in a beam blade into that, which I did do. I'll have a little behind the scenes video that'll go up for supporters, but yeah, I was working on that. I'm going to compare this to the Robot Spirits GM and the general GM that we see in 0079, but for now I just want to talk about what I did when I customized this. So let's see, a couple things I had to do. If we start with the head, those Vulcans, I had to paint myself the yellow with airbrush, so I pretty much taped off the head quite a bit just to leave the two Vulcans there, spray painted. Did a great job. There's a little bit of yellow, I guess, overspray, and I tried to clean what I could, but I didn't want to go too far, but it still looks good. I am proud, personally, of how it turned out doing that. But as we move down, we'll see where I did some panel lining, especially here at the upper chest piece. We can see the panel lining done here. And I'm a little iffy with the panel line. I'm trying to figure out what to do exactly. I'm using the Tamiya panel line accent ink. The thing is, though, sometimes I don't like it when things are too overly panel lined. Although I think there's this trade-off. It's like panel line everything, but then go back and clean up as much as you can, which I tried to do here. So, for instance, like on the skirt, where we're seeing the panel lining there, typically after putting the ink down, or even with the pen or whatever, it's going to bleed out just enough, and so I took lighter fluid with both a toothpick and one of those smaller cotton swabs to go in and clean it, to try to even them out between each side, to give it, I guess, a more uniform look and not much of a custom look to it. And I did not panel line the vents there. The reason I didn't was because of the contrast that already exists with the black panel line in other areas. I felt like doing it there would almost be too much. That might not be the case, but it was just a feeling I got from that. And then what's neat is the little, so there's these little like divots in the elbows and knees. I decided to put a little gold there. I got that idea from playing the video game Side Stories Missing Link. And the same with GBO2. They have a really cool look to their mobile suits, their GMs. They look like the classic GMs, but they're just modernized just enough. And that is with kind of that little gold accenting there, put in the joints. And you'll see that, like, if you get a real grade, a lot of times the real grades, or even maybe master grades, if anything that's like GM related, Mark II related, Gundam related, they'll have the gold accenting that you could put in the joints. So when it came to other details, I had to airbrush. The bottom of this leg and the top of the foot are all the same color, but they are separate pieces. So I did have to remove this guard, tape it off just right so that I could get a proper, so yeah, you can kind of see where the bottom part of this leg goes into the top of that foot, and this was all a separate piece. And I was trying to match the colors of, for instance, here in the back of the knee or the elbow, how it has that darker color. It's not completely black, and I actually had to also spray paint here. I'm sorry, airbrush here. Taped it off as best I can, so the corners are rounded. So when I put the tape on, obviously I wasn't able to get it perfect, but that was fine because once I took the tape off, just got the the either it was the isopropyl alcohol or lighter fluid, and I just kind of fixed the corners, made it look really good. And actually, another part too that I didn't bring up was these little areas at like the ankle, the knee, the elbow, I guess another little spot, where I just used the Tamiya ink and filled it in, cleaned up where it kind of like spilled over, but I think it still looks pretty good. And I'm not even a big fan of doing the panel lining here. Like, I feel like here it's gonna pop up too much, but I think, you know, I made it where it wasn't too thick, and I think it worked just right. Now, after I did my build, I actually did a gloss top coat first. Once I did that gloss top coat, I went back with the ink, with the paint to get everything where I needed it. Once I was done with that, I used the Tamiya TS80 flat. Now, I did the same thing with the Hazel. I have a video up of that, the Hazel Master Grade. And I don't know how easy it's to tell in this light, but I have some pictures too I'm sharing. But the flat coat looks excellent. It's like nearly what I'm trying to get out of a good top coat to make something look less like a model kit, more like an action figure. And I think out of all of the model kits I've ever done, I think I nailed it with this one in terms of at my level where I'm at with top coating to get just the right top coat going on. Yeah, I think I nailed it. You know, and look at the manual real quick. You know, just from the front, we can see the kind of light discrepancy where the red looks a little more orange here. This mint green looks a little more white. That we'll talk to in a bit. But I really like how many photos they have here that are full color to give you an idea how to edit it. Yeah, the more I'm looking at it, the more it is white like that. I mean, it really looks like they're showing off white for the GM, which it's funny. In my mind, sometimes when I think GM, I am thinking of a white mobile suit. But, you know, looking at this, and we'll look at something else in a second, it's not the case. If you wanted to pause and look at any of this, just in case you lost your manual or something, this was a simple build. In fact, I have a live stream up of me building this. I did it live. It was almost a 2-hour stream, but you could, if you weren't busy talking to someone, you could probably get it done in 30 minutes. All right, taking a look at the color guide here. So I might still do this because it would be a fun little project. So that beam saber and blade is all one piece, and it's that mint color, My plan was, I'll just paint it all pink, go back, mask off the top, do white there, and then spray a little bit of white just to kind of give that gradient effect. And I might still do that, but in the meantime, it was easier for me to just take this, and I drilled, and because this is such a small, oh, there we go. I drilled a hole in the top, and it wasn't perfect, but it allows me to put a general beam saber blade from any other high-grade kit in there, so I can do that if needed. But looking at the color guide here, you wouldn't know where the green came in, or the mint, the color, and I'm really confused by it. When I look at the Gundam Wiki and they show pictures of the GMs, a lot of times they are more white, but the main picture from the 0079 anime, which this is based on, has that more mint, I would say even more of a gray look to it. Just enough green in this model kit to make it minty. And let's actually bring over the Robot Spirits version, which looks almost identical. I could have these lined up and you wouldn't think at first, oh, look, those are different kits, action figures, etc. A couple interesting things here is it looks like they are in scale, just proportioned differently. Like they're nearly the same height, but this has a little more slimness to it. This is a little bit chonkier, although in the head, this one seems to have a bigger, rounder look, especially around the visor. This one, I kind of like it. It's like, I love these Robot Spirits for anime, and I love the proportions here, and I love the details here, but I like this. Even the top coat I gave the high grade makes me appreciate this more than this. Because then this goes back to having that really plasticky look, which not a lot of Robot Spirits do, especially like the Ver-Ka, or I think they call them Ka signatures, Metal Robot Spirits. They have a matte finish to them, but I think these Ver Anime, they kind of keep them simple. But even with the Ver Anime RX-78 too, it's actually not fully accurate in terms of colors. Interesting that on the back of the Ver Anime, it does not have the gray up in the backpack like the manual for this does. That allowed me to decide to put the details on the back there. And I love the way the gold is looking back here. A couple other things is the red too. The red on here is a little more muted. This stands out. I wonder if it's also the addition of the top coats that make it stand out. But there's even little details all over this Ver anime that's not on the high grade, and it might be hard to see on here, but even like on the chest, there's like more panel lining going on. So it's like there's a mix of these two that could be the ultimate GM, but for now, I am super proud with how this one turned out. All right, and here's the GM Sniper 2 I just built just to get a good look, and you can see how glossy and reflective it is because there's no top coat on it, and this has that top coat, so you're not seeing that. But also just cool, another GM. I'm really loving building up my GM arsenal. I have a GM3 also that's out in the garage. It's about to get a gloss coat. So anyway, there you have it. That is the RGM 79 as a high grade, a kit that was made in 2001, but it still stands up. I mean, yeah, we could use a new one for multiple reasons. It could be one that is a little more updated, but also widely available and cheap, so I can build up my army. But even this, got it at a local hobby shop for $10. You can get it for about $20 online, but I think this is just one of those kits that it's fun to build, and I would love to build a whole bunch of them, have an army. This is something I would definitely army build. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Any critiques you have of the way I went about customizing it, any suggestions with anything I can do to make it even cooler. Have you built this? Are you a fan of the RGM 79? But also, do you have any background information on the colors? Is there something I'm missing? I think it's very interesting that we see kind of a minty green or gray look and sometimes just a completely white look. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk later.